Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're episode 187. Today is February 23rd. My name is Craig Perales. Joining me, Mandrew Montemare. We've made it. It is now Friday. The weekend is upon us, my friend. How you feeling, friend?
Dude, I am tired and just worn out. I feel like it's been the longest week, but I'm just excited for the weekend. Just to stay at home and do absolutely nothing.
No big plans?
No, I just want to stay home, play games, and catch up on shows.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be hopefully, 48 hours of just catching up on some good gaming, especially with Final Fantasy Rebirth right around the corner. And did we know when Dragon's Dogma was? Was it early March?
I think it's like the start of March. March 9th is in my head, but if it's not March 9th, it's like maybe like no later than the 22nd. Either way, it's like pretty close.
We got some big, beefy titles coming up, guys, so that's what we're looking forward to. So guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. If you guys are listening to the audio only version of the podcast, you can check it out on your platform of choice. And if you guys are interested in following us on any of our social media, our Linktree link will be in the description. So as always, before we get into our main episodes, we like to do what are you up to? When Andrew and I take a second and talk about things we've been playing, things we've been watching, kind of loosen up a little. So, Andrew, what have you been playing? What have you been watching? Talk to me.
I'll talk about what I'm watching later, because I mean that's relative to something we're going to talk about. So I've been binging something. As far as playing anything, I finished Infinite Wealth. I love that game. I think I like 7's overall story more than 8, but just the perfect refinements that they made to the gameplay in this game. Like I just got lost like playing for hours. I didn't even mind to when I was like just going through these little things, grinding and stuff, because I'm just putting it on a podcast, and they just made the combat, especially if you're trying to do something like that, just so easy to do. You can even put your people to like, I don't think I'd mentioned it before, almost like Final Fantasy 12, where you can like set it, I use the word paradigm from 12, but you can put them on like auto combat, so they'll just do whatever's going to be best and heal when they need to heal. So like if you're trying to grind to get up some levels and stuff, just let them run through and do their thing while you're I was watching a show while that's going on.
I like that nice quality of life improvement.
Yeah, so they just made that one better than ever. That game was amazing. And so after that, I thought I'd just go something complete opposite direction. I'd skipped out on Immortals Phoenix Rising. I don't remember why when that game came out. I just remember that we got it.
It was in my top 5 for that year.
I'm really liking it so far. I think my biggest disappointment in it is I thought maybe it was a little... I don't remember seeing too many trailers from back then, but my always thought of it was that it was not like a serious game, but I didn't think it was like jokey, where like Zeus and
Hades and all those guys.
They're dubbing over with their monologue and making jokes and this and that the whole time, like, oh, game over. And I'm just like, if I kind of hate this. And I'm growing to like it more now. I really like the combat and the gameplay of it, so it feels good. I kind of like the idea that Ubisoft should do more games like this.
Yeah, that's a good Ubisoft game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask you, how are you liking the finding the different puzzles and collecting all the different kind of items to boost up all your stuff? Like, are you finding any of them too challenging or fun? Because I actually was like, I hate puzzles in games, but like these ones were kind of fun, like getting the balls in all the right spots.
I would honestly almost have to equate this to, I would say it feels almost like playing a Zelda game, like a Greek Zelda game is what it feels like. The puzzles aren't too challenging, but some of them aren't like as overly easy. Sometimes I'm sitting there trying to figure out what certain things mean. So I think if it, like, this could be something that you do 2 or 3 of, that I don't think would ever reach the peak of, like, Zelda, but if you just choose a different area with, like, the same style of gameplay, could be, like, a series that's almost something like that.
Excellent. Anything else?
Nah, what are you doing?
As far as what I've been up to, as far as what I've been playing, I finally beat Yakuza 0. I believe I was still talking about it at the end of, last week's show, and I gotta say, man, it just got better and better and better. In the beginning, I was not salty on the game, but I was like, man, this game's like, it's a long opening. You gotta listen to everything. I can't listen to my podcast and stuff. But the more it goes on, the twists and turns and like detective capabilities and the way the gameplay changes, where 1 minute you're running and fighting, the next you're shooting at helicopters. It was fantastic, and I was kind of skipping cutscenes in the beginning when I didn't think it was going to be as good. But as soon as you see some of these people get shot, people get stabbed. You're meeting these new characters. It's like you gotta fully commit and watch it. And I'm glad I did because it's actually a really, really good game, and I'm now excited to play more of them and maybe make it just a side game, like once a night. Try to beat a chapter and then stick to something else that I'm playing. I could see me doing that a lot. But we were talking off camera. Should I go straight to 1 and 2? I know you said you liked them, but a lot of people don't. Or if I did skip 1 and 2, would I start at 3 or 4?
I would say do 0. You already did 0. People like 1 and 2. I personally like 2 more than 1. I see some people are a little soft on 2, but I think 2 has an amazing villain that it plays like 0 does. So it's just good gameplay.
Okay.
3, 4, and 5 are the ones that are a little rougher because 3 and 4 didn't get like a remaster. 3, I would just recommend kind of skipping them because even though I had a good time playing them, just some of the combat's not good, especially in 3. There's a lot of people that block, and you don't have like an attack right away to like get around that. So you could jump into 5 if you want. I personally would just skip 3, 4, 5 and just jump straight into 6 because 6 is really good, and that's kind of more that modern combat style. And then that would lead you straight into 7. You could even stop where you are now with 0 and jump straight into 7 if you wanted to, do it so that way you could get your JRPG fix like kind of out of the way.
I was gonna say, is that the one where it changes up the style a little bit?
Right, because then you have an idea of how these people are. You know who these set legendary people are, and you only see them a little bit in this because 7 again is its own story. You understand what gangs or what. So you would be perfectly fine jumping into it. Is 7
the dragon one? Is that the yellow one?
That's when they started calling it. That one's Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, and then after that is when they started calling it Like a Dragon. But yeah, the steel case was yellow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I thoroughly enjoyed Yakuza. It's a shame that the West didn't have it, or at least Microsoft, Xbox didn't have it for so long. So it is nice to see Capcom coming over to Xbox and getting a bigger audience, because I never would have played it unless it was on the Game Pass. And it's cool that all of them are pretty much on the Game Pass. Maybe not the newest one.
The newest one's not, but everything else is.
Yeah, and then
you finally understand the hype?
Yeah, the hype's real, baby. The hype is real. It's got the best characters. It's got the craziest storylines. I found myself, I was doing a lot more side stuff than I originally thought I was going to do instead of just running through. I didn't do all of it, but some of it was a lot of fun. So I'm happy that I beat it. As far as what I'm going to play next, I'm tossing a coin between Alan Wake 2, which obviously, one of the best games of the year last year. But I'm kind of in the mood to play something zany. And I know I did want to point out, because me, you, and Collins were talking about it, is Dead Island 2 is now on the Game Pass. So if you guys didn't know that, definitely download it and check it out.
Glad we didn't buy it. We almost pulled the trigger like 3 different times.
I was going to say there's a couple times, but yeah. So as far as what I've been watching, I believe yesterday, excuse me, as of February 22nd, the live action show on Netflix of Avatar: The Last Airbender dropped. Now there's 8 episodes in total, and they're hour longs, which I really, really like. So I've only watched the first 2 episodes, and I'll just put it like this. This is like the best, cheesiest show ever. Like, there's not a lot of strong acting in it. Some of the actors are really well, but the majority of them aren't really that. I mean, they're kids, right? The guy that plays Appa, or not Appa.
I was about to say the Bison?
Uncle Iroh. He's in a bunch of stuff. Paul Sun-Hyung Lee. He's in like Mandalorian. He's in Kim's Convenience. So he's definitely one of the strongest actors. The kid that plays Prince Zuko, Dallas Liu, I really like him. And on Firelord Ozai, Daniel Day Kim is awesome. The rest of them are kind of hit or miss. The CGI really isn't that good. There's some very noticeable things of him not touching something as he's flying, or you'll just notice some of these. And I'm only in episode 2. The costumes, the outfits, the aesthetic, the look is a little Comic-Con-y, right? It doesn't look like it's a movie set worth of action or worth of costumes. But dude, I'm crying watching my show, one of my favorite shows being realized again, because there are really, really good scenes, like with Sokka, and I always forget the girl who's the Kyoshi warrior. Not Ty Lee. I figured her name.
I'll get it in a second.
Yeah, but they've got a really nice chemistry together. So yeah, it's not the best, but if you weren't a fan of Avatar and you started watching this, you might say, no, it's not for me. But as a huge fan, of Last Airbender, I'm like, dude, I'll watch this thing all day. There's a scene where, dude, and again, the fire's kind of cheesy, but where like someone just gets burned alive and they show it. So it's definitely it's definitely a more mature version of Last Airbender. You are going to see, I've already seen people die and get killed and stuff like that. So it is a bit more mature, but I'm having a lot of fun, and hopefully by the end of this weekend, I have enough time to watch all the other 6 episodes. So
I'm gonna start watching it this weekend too.
I think you'll dig it, man. And then we'll talk about it on the next episode. So guys, that's what I've been playing. That's what I've been watching. Leave down in the comments below, guys, what you have been playing and what you've been up to. So with that down on the way, guys, let's move into our main topic, and it's kind of a follow-up from our last week's episode where there was a lot of rumors and speculation about what was happening with Xbox, and then we were kind of waiting for this big update, which happened on the official Xbox podcast. Suki, there he is. There's my man. That's why I keep you around. And it was hosted by Tina Amini, who I really enjoy her. And it had Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, President of Xbox Sarah Bond, and Head of Xbox Game Studios Matt Booty. And this is just kind of a quick catch-up because they were kind of talking about the future of Xbox, moving some legacy titles to other platforms. They also had some hardware announcement and some a couple other announcements we'll get into. But just to catch you up, this comes to us from The Verge, and it says, it's official. Microsoft is bringing some Xbox exclusive games to PS5 and Nintendo Switch. It's part of a broader strategy shift inside Microsoft's gaming business to grow games beyond just the company's Xbox consoles. And this is quoted from Phil Spencer. We've made this decision that we're going to take 4 games to the other consoles, reveals Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer on the official Xbox podcast. Bizarrely, Microsoft is refusing to name the 4 titles, but the company says that the 2 are community-driven games and the other 2 are smaller titles. Sources familiar with Microsoft's plans tell me the first 2 titles will be Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment, followed by Sea of Thieves and Grounded. Spencer claims there hasn't been any change to the company doing Xbox exclusives yet. At the same time, he also thinks there will be fewer consoles exclusives across the industry over the next decade. So, if you watched our last episode, we kind of had a bunch of games that we were kind of thinking, or a lot of people were speculating may or may not come. This pretty much fell in suit, right? A lot of people knew Hi-Fi Rush. Sea of Thieves was one. So, it was weird that they just kind of said it, like they didn't want to say anything when we can clearly see the writing on the wall. And plus, after the direct, we kind of learned some stuff anyway. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought their dialogue was like a little shaky when I was kind of watching it at first anyway, because again, it's only 20 minutes, and I'm like, it took you guys like 2 weeks to announce this thing. This thing could have been out like that Friday to stop that house fire that they were kind of having. That would have done them far greater service than letting it be out that Thursday. And the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, I kind of don't really get it, but I guess I'll have to wait and see. Especially, too, because I hate that they're like, oh, this is the way we grow Xbox. But then PlayStation is putting out numbers that same day that they have, like, more subscribers. And obviously, they've sold more consoles, and they don't have to do this strategy. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird because Tina Amini actually point blank asked them. She's okay, you don't have to tell us that it's which 4 games, but is it safe to assume that it's not, or is it going to be Starfield and Indiana Jones? Because that was one of the 2 biggest titles that people were thinking would be, if you're going to put big games on it, it's going to be those. And he said, no, it's not that. And what a lot of people were kind of misinterpreting is that he didn't say it will never be those. He just said that these first 4 games aren't going to be that. So it's kind of the question that everyone's asking. Is this just these 4 games and they're going to keep it legacy titles? Because one of the things was that these are all games that are over a year old. There's smaller games that were never designed specifically to be exclusive titles, and the other ones are kind of online gaming. Is this just like, are they going to keep doing old titles that don't really matter, or is this a Trojan horse to kind of see, okay, well, how do people respond, and will we eventually put on Starfield and Indiana Jones? So how do you look at it? Do you think it will be bigger, more important titles moving forward, or do you think they're going to just keep doing kind of some older games just to kind of make money on games that aren't making anything more? A little bit of both?
I think, a little bit of both. Because I wouldn't say any of these games are really like the face of Xbox. So I think that will keep those other people happy. Like, okay, we still have our brand identity with like Gears or Halo or something like that. But let's say, the next Elder Scrolls, whatever they call it, comes out or something like that. I think what would make people happy and maybe the better decision for them, if you are going to make it multi-plat, is like, okay, you can play it on Xbox day one, day and date for free, and it'll be on PlayStation or whatever else 6 months down the road, 3 months down the road, a year down the road, because those are the games that really matter, because Elder Scrolls is a game that like, I could wait. I've been waiting to play Final Fantasy because that, to me,
and you were
is different,
it.
and I still haven't gotten it. Versus if Elder Scrolls was something that was on, I don't know that I could wait. If there was a genre-defining game the same way Starfield didn't turn out that way, but if they put out something that is like the next Skyrim, that is that magnum opus, can you wait for something like that?
Yeah. So it was kind of overall just, I don't know what it was really meant for. I forget how long it was. I think it was around 40 minutes.
20.
And it was 20. It was a really short one. Was there something from the Nintendo Direct you wanted to point out? Because we're not going to cover the Direct that just recently happened, but just so you know, there is one. It had about 24 console games on it, and then including things like the new Mickey game, South Park, Snow Day, and it had a bunch of online games you can get, like the new Battletoads Maniac I wanted to play. But it dropped something right after the exclusive, because I wasn't even thinking about it until you pointed out. So
yeah, that was Grounded is going to be coming to the Switch, and that's going to be on April 16th, and it's also coming to PlayStation as well. But that was a part of their third party showcase. So I'm like, oh well, I mean, it's interesting to see the name and the logo and everything like that up there. But I mean, that's a game that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm kind of glad that game is there. I remember when we were playing it, and dude, playing it now, there's so much more stuff to it. So it is kind of cool that even if you're getting it late, you're getting the best version of it. So so there are already games that are ready to go to the next platforms. But speaking of, do you think he's going to actually, like, how do you interpret him saying exclusives across the industry over the next decade is going to get fewer and fewer? But like, what does that mean? How do you speak for the industry when Sony makes has some of, like, at least
the
6,
leader
7
of the
franchise,
industry,
and all of Nintendo's games are essentially exclusive? So I was kind of just curious. I'm like, are you saying you're not going to be making exclusives? Because when you say the industry, it's like, well, the two best-selling ones have some of the best and only exclusives. So what do you think he was kind of say there?
I think he's really just speaking for themselves, and who knows, maybe that is their game plan. I feel like the writing's maybe a little bit on the wall. Again, it's hard to really understand what he says, because he'll say one thing but really like mean another.
Yeah, he speaks out of both sides of his mouth.
Or exactly, and it's like that with everything, because I mean, the perfect example would be when he's like, oh, we don't want to talk about these 4 games because we want to let these studios be able to show it off in their own way. We don't want to ruin their announcement. But then come a week later, they just drop all 4 of the games that are going to be coming out to everything else in an Xbox Wire blog.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, what was so special that you had to wait another week? Like, for an Xbox blog post?
That
I mean, the
sense.
Nintendo Grounded thing was fine, but the blog post, I think, came out before that.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's anything else you want to talk about the games, because they do have 2 other announcements. Was there anything else on the 4 games, or?
I'll just go over them just because we have Pentiment. That's because we do have dates for them. So Pentiment is coming out February 22nd. That will be on Switch and PlayStation. Hi-Fi Rush, surprisingly, the one that has already been where people like backlog and dig through games and stuff, that has proof that it probably is going to be coming to Switch. Almost like 99% is only slated for PlayStation on March 9th. Grounded, of course, April 16th, Switch and PlayStation. And then Sea of Thieves is coming April 30th, and that is going to be on PlayStation only. And that one, Hi-Fi Rush could easily run on a Switch, I think. I think Sea of Thieves, Grounded's a pretty big game. Sea of Thieves is a lot bigger, so I wonder if maybe they're saving something like that because there's the rumor later on this year that Switch might reveal the Switch 2, the successor to the Switch.
They call it the Super Switch.
And then and that would actually be kind of a cool name, and that would be a good thing to have. Here we're revealing this game. We have all these exclusives, but here's a third party, a big game. Yeah. Sea of Thieves would make sense for something like that.
And running on some better hardware would definitely help Nintendo out. So those are the games. I think it's with Andrew. I think it's a little bit of both of what they're going to be doing moving forward. I think we'll probably see the rest of this year probably do legacy titles, and then seeing how well they do or sell. Then I think starting in 2025, then you'll start seeing things like Starfield and Indiana Jones pop up. But they did mention two other things that we can go over. Is they mentioned that there's going to be a new hardware drop later in this year that's going to be leaps and bounds. It's going to be the most technical jump that you've ever seen between systems. Now, a lot of people were kind of confused on that just because the wording wasn't exactly right. Is it going to be an update system from this gen? Is like a 1.5 version, like a refresh, or are they dropping a new console? I think the majority of people understood that it sounds like it's just a 1.5. Like they're gonna beef up the Series X. They're gonna slim it down, and it's gonna have a couple things that are gonna. What I'm just trying to wrap my head around is what are you gonna give it that's gonna be the biggest technical leap that we've ever seen? Because we're already at running 1080p. We're already running a bunch of stuff. So what were your thoughts on what they're going to do?
Yeah, I have no clue what that would be, because that was my thing. I was like, okay, you're talking the biggest technical leap, so I didn't take it as 1.5. I took it
you take it as a new system.
As a new system, or you could call that the Xbox Series whatever. It doesn't matter. Just give it a name so that way maybe it seems like it's within that family. But in a way, it almost seems like, hey, maybe we're trying to ideally kickstart what would be the next generation.
What's it been, 5 years now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, 360 arguably had the longest generation, 360 and PS3. The other ones have been shorter. And even PlayStation recently had put out their thing that PlayStation 5 is kind of at the end of like its general life cycle, and they're already talking about further ideas. So that would maybe be a good idea if you come through and you have something that maybe Sony can't match, because they've already got their plans and stuff, and we're going to plant our flag this year and be out however long before Sony's next console is, then who knows, maybe that could be something. We're going to try to restart the next generation now on the right foot, and maybe, who knows, that might be a good strategy to start.
Well, and then I thought PlayStation was still had a... I thought we knew there was a refresh SKU coming. So isn't there already something in the pipeline that they're already making a 1.5 PS5? So yeah, if anything, they would be at least another year.
I'll say that's kind of the hard thing to talk about when they're talking about that stuff, is because they did say like, oh, it's at the end of whatever cycle, but we have all these rumors of like a refreshed PS5 with maybe like a few upgrades here and there that wouldn't be like, the difference between one generation and another generation of console. But when they're talking about it being at the end of its cycle, like that, what does that even mean? Does that mean you're also planning a big technical generational leap? Because the way they're making it sound is like it's a whole different... It's a night and day between the consoles.
Yeah, and I think one of the things they were saying for a technical leap is that, like, how you always have to put on like game mode or performance mode, and you have to switch between all that. Some people are suggesting that maybe it'll be a version or the console.
You're not making a sacrifice.
We'll be able to finally run both of them at once. And I just noticed, are you growing out your tail again?
Yeah.
And like it just caught my eye behind that. I was like, oh, he's growing his tail again. So yeah, it is kind of interesting to see what they mean and what they meant by this will be the biggest technical leap. They were saying something. It's like going from like the Nintendo, Super Nintendo to like the PlayStation. It's going to be something that's that big, so it's just hard to wrap my head around what that could possibly be.
8K, 120 frames, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like that. I'm not a stickler for that stuff anyway, so what does that even mean?
And how much is that going to affect the price? You know what I mean? So, and the other thing that they brought up is that they're finally starting to get Activision and Blizzard games on the Game Pass, and the first one that they're starting with, which I believe is on it now, if not, maybe by the end of the month, was Diablo 4. So Diablo 4 is the first big title from their new acquisition of Activision and Blizzard that's going to be on the Game Pass. So
I do want to note, because I don't know if it said it in that post, that I think it came out afterwards, and I think is a smarter idea for these games, is you have to have the core Game Pass, the upgraded Game Pass, not the basic one, in order to be able to play Diablo 4.
Good. So that was pretty much the big update that everyone was waiting for. I don't know if it was really that impressive. It's it's good knowledge, I guess, to know, but it didn't seem like we needed to have this suspense and this we can't tell you the 4 games, and a week later we have dates for all of them. So overall, I think it was kind of a waste of time. I'm more interested about the leaps and bound technology jump, and moving forward, what else they're going to put on the Game Pass. But as far as it goes, I still think it's just going to be legacy titles moving over. So unless there's anything else you want to add on that.
No, like I said, I think that this could have easily came out like that same Friday when everyone was shouting from the rooftops all these crazy rumors and, going crazy.
Nice. So with that down and out of the way, guys, let's move in to questions of the week. Now, guys, if you want to submit a question that Andrew and I can answer on the show. You can do so a couple of different ways. You can email us at lastcallproductions@gmail.com. You can leave a comment in the YouTube section and we can grab it there. Or you can find me at Craig Perales on social media and I can take it there. And this question comes from Chris Trejo, and they write, what did you guys think of Halo Season 2? Better or worse so far from Season 1? I think a stronger start, but still not that well done. So, yeah, Halo Season 2 is finally out. It did take a while. The Season 1 came out back in 2022. So now that it's 2024, we finally have Season 2. And yeah, Season 1 was a hit and miss for a lot of people because it kind of tried to do its own thing. It took the franchise and a property that we know and love and characters like Master Chief and kind of remade them. And a lot of people were concerned of like, if Halo has some of these great stories from books and from games, why make a whole different show? But for me, I watched it 2 years ago. Andrew had the pleasure of running through it all. You went front to back, right? You did one and then you take a break and then you watch two. So as of now, when we get to season part 2, there was 2 episodes that premiered when it dropped. So I'm just going to be kind of talking about those. But as of right now, there are 4 episodes total. So let's backtrack a bit and just, as somebody running through season 1 for the first time, what were your thoughts? Because a lot of people's biggest problem was Master Chief taking off his helmet, adding some characters or changing some people's identities and characters. So you know Halo more than I do. How did you like Halo after hearing all the drama that it had? Season 1.
I don't get what all the fuss was about. I personally didn't care when he took his helmet off because it's not like Master Chief has ever been like this, like V for Vendetta, why I don't let people see my face. So there's no logical reason for him to not take his helmet off or for other people to see what he looks like. I would assume he's out of his suit a bunch of times when he's walking around and doing whatever. He can't be in that thing 24/7. People know what he looks like. So I felt like that was the biggest thing that people were going like crazy about in the beginning. I personally don't have a problem with it. And I've watched all 4 episodes of the newest season. That there's personally one scene in the newest episode that completely justifies a reason why he's out of it. That I'm like, man, like, not that I ever cared too much before, but I'm like, that is a really cool scene and a really great idea that couldn't have been done with him wearing his suit. It's so much better that he's not wearing his suit just for this specific moment. That I'm like, okay, cool, I'm totally on board. I think the only problems I ever have with the outside stuff is the Spartans and the Covenant, and obviously the fighting is so much more interesting. My biggest problem with the original stuff is just the stuff with Quan. Like, I don't care for her.
Because she's a brand new character, right?
Right. Okay. I like the idea of the Separatists because that is in the games. You have these people that don't believe the UNSC and they think like either the Covenant's made up and the Spartans are just their hitmen and stuff like that. So that is a cool idea. But I didn't need to see her try to regain this planet for whatever reason for her and her family. Like, she's not really that interesting a character. I would have just liked to see them in passing versus following this storyline. I personally think Soren was far more interesting as the pirate than her.
Yeah, that was the other thing too, is because Soren's a new character as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting because...
At least I believe so.
Yeah, I don't think he was too, because that's what I was trying to say. I'm like, I don't think this guy's in the game either, and it kind of hurt it when, side characters, Quan suck, but like they're more interesting than what I think Season 1 had going on, but they were trying to build the story. They were trying to set up this kind of... this war that eventually is coming. And it's interesting to point out that when Halo Season 1 dropped, it was, I believe at the time, maybe not anymore, it was like the #1 show viewed for Paramount Plus. And as of September 30th, 2023, it was showing that they had 63.4 million subscribers. But just to put that in context, compared to Netflix, they have 260 million subscribers. So they were, Halo was the best on a streaming platform that didn't really have a lot of viewers. And what kind of sucks is Season 2's back out now, and I don't think their viewership is skyrocketed. Because like when John Reacher, is that what it was? Jack Reacher came out, like memberships went skyrocketing for Amazon, and it's unfortunate that Halo it lost that that hype, because putting out season 2 didn't help the streaming channel at all.
Yeah, I wonder if, though, because maybe it's not getting that kind of viewership, those kind of numbers, the season 2 has reviewed a lot better than season 1 has with just the first 4 episodes. I wonder if maybe spreading that word of mouth will be like, hey, maybe if you didn't like it, especially because they got like a new writer, they're kind of going with some new directions, season 2 is far better. I mean, for your question, I wonder how many episodes you watch, or if you just watch the first 2, because I've seen all 4 now, and I think, I didn't have a problem with 1. I think season 4 is great. I think it is arguably better than the first one too.
Yeah, it definitely got much better reviews. Season 1 was at a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, and season 2 is already sitting at an 89, fluctuating with a 90%. So yeah, it's 20% better than that. But I wanted to read this too from MovieWeb.com, and it's talking about season 2, saying, the consensus among critics is unmistakable. Season 2 represents a significant evolution from the initial offering. With feedback highlighting a more finely honed approach to storytelling and character development, the series seems to have found its footing. Alex Mady of Joe Blow articulates this sentiment well, asserting that the current season marks a step in the right direction towards delivering the experience long sought after by the Halo fanbase. Eric Masoto from Collider and Kate Sanchez of But Why Though echo this optimism, pointing to the enhanced scope and refined execution as key factors in the season's success. So if you were on the fence and you weren't doing your homework, everyone seems to universally be agreeing that season 2 is better, it's stronger, it's more towards what you would want. And it does kind of suck that they didn't start with a good Halo, but it seems like they've clearly learned from their mistakes. And I mean, even in the first 2 episodes I've seen, certain characters like we don't like, I don't know how much she's going to pop up moving forward, like they're already not focusing on that, because the other one starts off with people you don't know. And again, the pirate guy, he's always dope, and they are moving forward with what you want to see. One of the biggest people that I end up liking, because Halsey's
always the best.
Halsey's amazing, but the new character that kind of took her role, Ackerson, dude, he's by far my favorite guy so far. He eats up that dialogue.
I hate him, but that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so as far as just this new kind of antagonist, I already love where they're going with it. What you find out, what's kind of going on with Cortana, what's going on with Halsey. Again, I'm only talking from the first initial episodes, but you've gone a little further. So if you want, how much better would you say would you agree that those are the strongest points of it being better than 1? And the storyline, clearly, Sanctuary is going to be a big thing, right? Or Reach, right?
Right. I mean, we'll give you the spoilers now. It obviously everyone knew this was coming. You can see it in the episode lining too, that it is going to depict the famous like Fall of Reach or Halo Reach.
So they're actually doing something from the games?
Yeah. So
instead of not doing anything like season 1?
Yeah. So once you and I guess maybe it had to take season 1 to get here to set up that world building that I could forgive it. And maybe that's the thing too. And coming from like, I could have watched season 1 and then taken 2 years and been like, man, that was kind of unfulfilling. Whereas I watched it now leading into this, and I'm like, well, this is where it had to start, and this is where we are now. That I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in, because I just binged it. So I guess maybe same thing like Game of Thrones. Some people said that took a little too long, but I had binged that all at one point. That I have a skewed view of it. But once you get to like the stuff going on in Reach and everything, it is so interesting. Again, they kind of drop down on some of the other people that were maybe less interesting or less favorable. And even when you watch the first 2 episodes, the action is so good, especially when you see it on Sanctuary too, because you would watch that. Yeah. Part of it is you have this over-the-top action where it feels like Halo and he's fighting multiple people at one time like himself. It almost looks like the trailer, but then it'll drop almost into a section where you're seeing it from these normal people's perspective, and it plays out like a horror movie almost kind of too, when they're just surrounded, because they don't have any experience dealing with this because they're not super soldiers.
Yeah, and again, we weren't trying to do big spoilers. We weren't trying to pick apart the episodes because that's on free, but we were just kind of pointing out that if you are on the fence or you really hated, like my buddy Corey, Corey, he's in our group. I was asking him and I was asking Brian, I'm like, hey, because they play Halo, I'm like, what are your guys' thoughts on season 2? And Corey was just like, and I told him I was going to say this on the show, I'm like, he's like, number 1 was like so fucking bad, I'll never watch season 2. So you got to remember, there are people out there like that, and that's fair, that's completely fair, that like, Halo 1 just season 1 rubbed them the wrong way, that they're not returning for season 2, and that's just unfortunate. So if you are one of those people, I mean, Andrew's a little further than I am, but it does get better, and I think it is going to be a version of Halo that Halo fans are going to like. It just has a completely different taste in your mouth. It's just way better. The only thing I'm finding that I'm missing that number one did at least a few times is I'm not hearing game noises anymore, and I'm not hearing good battle music. And because my other biggest gripe, and I'm sure that's going to change.
You do get that.
Okay, and I'm sure it was going to change is like, so for episode number 2, there wasn't any action in the whole episode until 42 minutes in, because I paused it and I looked, till 42 minutes in out of a 46-minute show that starts rolling credits at 44 minutes. So I'm like, there's this whole, and I think, again, you got to set up what's happening in the background. You got to get the politics and all that stuff going. But like, I think people want more action, and I think 1 kind of didn't hit that as hard, but it sounds like 2 is gonna blow it out of the water.
Yeah, I'll say you have to get into that building, because once the stuff on Reach takes off, that's like all it's about and everything. So I personally don't mind. I like the slow burn. I find myself, when I was watching it, my biggest gripe, and the only thing I ever thought, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense, is dumb, is when people are using the BR, it's not a 3-burst, it's like a full auto gun. And that was the only time I ever caught myself well, that's not like the game, this is stupid. But other than that, I personally don't have a problem with it, and I just don't understand. People think that Master Chief is like Darth Vader, like he needs his suit to survive, and it's like, that's not how he's ever been.
Yeah, it's just, that's just how the game's always just portrayed it. But, so yeah, if you've been on the fence and you've been hesitant, give it a go. Would you suggest anyone skip Season 1 if they haven't even started it because they've heard it, and just start with Season 2 and maybe watch a recap?
Yeah, you could. I think my brother, he's like, I don't remember 1. I think I'm going to have to really watch it. I'm like, no, just watch Season 2, because they walk back, like, kind of, because Season 2 has, like, a different, like, lead and stuff like that, as far as, like, in the background, I think, like, a writer and director. So they walk back some of these decisions that maybe didn't make sense, and people kind of go over it, but then that's the end of it, and you're like, you explain the justification, and now here's where we're going and why, and you could just go from there.
Good. So there you have it, guys. Check out number 2 if you're on the fence, and see for yourself, but it looks like it's moving in the right direction. So that was the last question I had from a viewer. What about a host?
I had a question for you.
I have a question.
I was thinking about it the other day, and this is because Resident Evil 4 DLC dropped, and I'm like, do I want to go and get it and play it? I do, but maybe just not right now because I'm busy. But my question was, is there one achievement that's made you give up on more? And the reason I was thinking about it is because Resident Evil 4, I wanted to 100% the game, but I do not like doing the shooting gallery, and I did not want to sit there for hours upon hours upon hours with luck-based sitting here trying to do the stupid shooting gallery. So I gave up on the others, because I could easily do like the professional mode. I already did all the other ones that are far harder to do before I realized that point of the shooting gallery, and then the same thing came out with the DLC. It's like, do I really want to play? Because I'm only going to get these achievements, and I'm not going to have 100% because I don't want to do the shooting gallery, so I just gave up on it.
Yeah, I was looking through some of my games, and nothing really jumped at me as one that I was like, I'm not gonna do it. But I was telling Andrew, like, one that I will always make me not want to 100% a game is any game that has beat it one. Like, if the hardest mode isn't offered to me originally, because there's certain games I'll jump to the hardest. Just like I'm playing Call of Duty, if I can start at veteran, I'll try to beat it with that. But any game that's like, once you beat it, then you unlock the hardest difficulty, and now you have to play it again. I don't play games twice. Not for most. Out of the most part, there are some games I'll go back. Like Octopath Traveler was a game I beat twice because I just really, and that was a long RPG. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But generally speaking, I don't go back and want to unlock nightmare mode. So any game that has beat once, beat twice, I'm already going, okay, well now I'm cherry picking what achievements I'm going to do, because I'm not going to go out of my way to get all of them, because I won't. Like Alan Wake, great game. Okay, now play it on the hardest mode again. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking replay this game again after I just beat it. But that's just the kind of gamer I am. I like moving on to the next thing and playing the next game, not going back and playing another 20 hours in something I just did.
I only do that for certain ones.
I know, but you do it to the games you love. Like, I always impresses me how much you can just do Resident Evil and get your S rank and that rank. But those games you can run through. I mean, you're getting the hardest achievement for beating in under 2 hours. It's like, that's different, because I mean, playing it 2 hours something, but replaying a game that's like 30 hours.
I was like, one of the, it wasn't too long. I think it was like 10. Mm-mm. But I redid I think it was Yakuza 2, but that's because you could do like New Game Plus by carrying over like all your stats and stuff like that. So I was already maxed out, so I'm like, oh well, whatever, it's not that hard. But I just smashed everybody and their mom, and then I'm skipping all the cutscenes except for the ones that I really remember liking, because I'm just like, skip, and that one took me a little bit longer to do. But again, I'm just running through it, because especially if it has a New Game Plus, I'll always run through it as long as you keep your stuff to where you're overpowered, as long as you know how to play the game.
Nice. And I'm curious what Collins has to say, because he goes in 100% a lot of games. Like even playing when I was playing Forza, and I was really getting into that. One of the ones I was like, I'm not even gonna try this one, because you have to hit all these signs, and some of them are like up on billboards, and they're like just in weird places. I'm like, I don't want to keep messing around with what car and what speed I gotta get and go find the angle of how I'm gonna dodge this thing. So something like that, I'm just anything that just sounds too time consuming is another thing I won't do. But then I looked at Collins and he's got 100% on it, so I'm like, hey, bravo to you, my man. So was that everything we wanted to talk about? We got a little bit more time, so I'll ask a question. Because the trailer, I believe, just dropped today. Before Andrew and I started the episode, we just saw the Borderlands trailer, which was quite big. So it was like 2 minutes and 48 seconds, and I don't think we've had a teaser trailer come out, so they just kind of dropped the whole thing on it. So my question to you is, do you think this movie looks good, and are you going to see it?
I probably will go see it. The only way I wouldn't go see it is somehow this movie got like a 4 or like something like that. Now, normally I don't care off of other people's reviews, and I'll go see something. I've enjoyed stuff that's like 6s and 5s, but if you get a really bad score, like a 3 or a 2, then I know that for sure there's no way I shouldn't even waste my time with it. I'm not the biggest Borderlands fan, so I'm already kind of like teetering on the edge of it and watching it. I'm like,
I forget you don't like it as much as I do.
I'm like, it's whatever. It looks cool. I'm more of the idea, like, I'm going to go support a video game movie to show that there's an audience for there and that we need stuff like this, provided it's a good adaptation. But I like Jack Black in it, and I think especially coming off of Bowser and now doing this, I guess I just never realized how great you'd be for a voice actor, which is surprising me because he's already been to forever Kung Fu Panda, even though I don't watch like those movies or anything like that. So watching him do that, I love.
That's who that chick is. So yeah, so you have to cast of Lilith, Roland,
and Cate Blanchett looks old as hell.
Cate Blanchett, I don't know why she's still very attractive, but you can tell she's older these days, and so it looks like it's gonna revolve around Lilith, Roland, Tiny Tina, Claptrap, Moxie, and then obviously there's some other players. Crom's in here. I thought it captured the look, the aesthetic of what Borderlands is. I thought some of the lines were a little cheesy, but then I'm like, but Borderlands is cheesy. But what kind of rebuilds my faith in it, because I forgot who was directing it, is Eli Roth is writing and directing it. And isn't Eli Roth the one that does the horror movie you like, Hostel?
Yeah, he did Hostel, Cabin Fever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I do
Bear June and Glorious Bastards.
Yeah, that's good old Eli. So yeah, I do have a lot more confidence in it. It looks like it captured the vibe of Borderlands, and I was telling Andrew, it looks like it's kind of mimicking a Guardians of the Galaxy type tone, which is not a bad thing at all. You got a cast of, kind of different characters that are all kind of joking around with themselves. I kind of want to see more of how vulgar and more brutal it's going to be, because it did look like they were showing off a lot of jokes and things like that, which is fine. Overall, I think it was a good trailer, and I'm definitely excited to see it. So the question is for you guys, did you think it looked good, and are you going to go see it? So awesome, guys. That is the end of episode 187, guys. Join us next week for episode 188. Until next time, guys, my name is Craig Perales. This is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.
See you out there.